So doing my little research, I found out that your father is a sculptor, right?
Yes,
and
yes.
He's doing metal sculptures. Yeah, we'll definitely share a link to his website showcasing these artworks. And it seems like you have sculpting kind of like in your veins, and you inevitably had to pick it up in the digital space or some other form. And I'm particularly interested in that area for a few reasons, which I'll keep secret for now. And the first question is, how did you even started with digital sculpting?
I think it must have been quite late with ZBrush. I sort of started picking it up. I don't know. I can't even remember when I bought ZBrush, but it's something that I always wanted to do. I'd never really got around to. I found I could get the same result with polymodeling. But since picking up sculpting, I've realized that you are so much more free, particularly with things like voxel remeshing and stuff like that. It's just kind of like I do whatever I want. I don't have to think about what the mesh is doing at the moment, which is massively freeing. Yeah, I think that's about it, really.
So the way you picked up learning sculpting, did you like figure it out yourself, like through practice, or did you have some courses or additional, where did you get your knowledge, or just, go with the flow and figure out things as you go?
Yeah, a lot of it was go with the flow. I mean, I'd done like traditional sculpting, so like clay sculpting and stuff in the past. So it felt, other than learning the tools, it felt quite natural. And recently as well, I've been using VR sculpting tools, which are pretty amazing, and it feels like a whole sort of different ball game. And it's frustrating going back to sort of 2D sculpting.
Yeah,
I just want to be do this all the time.
I've seen Jama Jurabayev did some showcases of the VR sculpting, and he's sharing a lot of it online, and it's super impressive. Like I think he's doing it in 3D code or so.
Oh, okay.
But,
I'm looking forward to when Blender. I know it does some VR stuff already, but like when it gets its sort of XR tools actually into the sort of creation process, that would be amazing. Being able to like walk through scenes and adjust things, that would be brilliant.
Yeah, I've tried picking up a little bit more in the sculpting area recently, and I agree that this is like the most fun thing about sculpting is that it's so it's immersive. It's like less you think less and you just do the thing. Like it's like drawing or things like that, more things that you can get in the zone with. And I think like people starting off with Blender or any other 3D software, if they start with sculpting, that's kind of like easier for them. That's my guess, maybe because I have a little bit of different paths going into 3D, like starting with that generic idea of modeling. But yeah, that immersive thing in sculpting is pretty inspiring. And VR, I think it's like another step forward, right? In that.
Yeah. And I think you have like the VR sort of 3D modeling, 3D sculpting tool I was using was Medium, which I think is now owned by Adobe as well. And that, after you picked up what is effectively like 4 or 5 main tools, you're ready to go. It's brilliant. And then it's just up to your, I guess, perception of form and space to bring something into the world. And yeah, I've started picking up just a sort of feeding on what you were saying about getting into the zone. Like there's feels like there's very little technical obstacles, and I've started using Nomad Sculpt on a tablet, which is brilliant. It's absolutely amazing, and I've not found really any technical issues at all. You don't really at the moment anyway. I'm there modeling with 6 million polygons and feels fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like having this sculpting tool in your pocket, I think that's kind of similar to the impression that people had with Heavy Paint, an app. We interviewed the creator of it some time ago.
Cool.
Von Ling, and he intentionally did this app to be as simple as possible, and it works on mobile devices. I have it on my phone, and it's super fun to be able. It's not like super fancy in tools. Like he introduced layers into it, like later on in the process. But first, it was like simple, really drawing on the canvas, but it had like super straight to the point tools, and it was super focused on painting. And it's heavily used in live drawing, and you can just take a tablet and go outside to do some digital painting in the plein painting. So really cool. Like
that's another thing I'd like to add to my list of wishes to have. Like I wish I had the ability to do that style of painting, that the kind I see a lot with Heavy Paint, which kind of feels like it looks like oil painting almost, like really simple strokes, but an incredibly detailed scene that appears. Like it blows my mind. Having that ability would be fantastic. And I should play around with heavy paint a lot more, because it does look cool.
So let me now maybe reveal my secret reason for bringing up the sculpting topic, and it's like more current stuff related. Because Maxon has just acquired ZBrush, and let me say the whole, no, maybe that's too strong of a statement. Digital world was shaken, the digital sculpting world. But what's your take on the whole event and the whole like trend of big corporations swallowing like popular tools, and the whole software as service subscription madness all around, because this is like just another thing going in the area, right? Maxon.
Yeah, I guess I am kind of equally pessimistic about it. Mainly because I don't use Cinema 4D and Redshift, and it feels like ultimately, it feels just from what they did with Redshift, it feels like it's just going to be absorbed into that package, perhaps. And then there's the flip side is that ZBrush is like with its infinite updates. I bought it like 8 or 9 years ago, and I've had free updates forever. And for, I think it was like £800 I bought it for, or something like that. I'm just like, that's a crazy good deal. That's an amazing deal. So I can understand that maybe the offer was too good to refuse, and maybe they'll stay loyal to, or maybe they'll grandfather in everybody that has previously bought ZBrush. I don't know, but because I was going to learn Redshift as well, because I really like the idea of that kind of biased renderer. But then as soon as it was brought up, I was kind of like, I don't know. It feels like it's less open somehow.
Yeah. Is that something that makes you want to switch to it? Like, how when Adobe bought Substance, a lot of people were like, I guess it's time to drop Substance. And then I guess a lot of people felt the same way about ZBrush, where got bought by a corporate, I gotta go back to Blender or something. Like, is that something that makes you feel like, since you like having control and you like that side of CG, is that something that makes you want to go, maybe it's time to switch? Or would you say you still use it?
I mean, I think at the moment, because on the 3D side of stuff as well, I have the ultimate luxury of deciding exactly what tools to use in the company, and then kind of dictating that, I think you should learn this would be a cool tool that happens to benefit us massively. I wouldn't say there's anything beyond I guess what seems to be the lack of ownership over something like a piece of software, where like, I don't know, if there's a small chance that I'm rendering something on Redshift and my internet connection goes down and I can't access something or whatever, you know, it's not mine, it's a service, or the subscription servers go down or whatever, then it just feels a bit risky. I know it's probably, it wouldn't happen, you know, like there's so many fail safes, but
yeah,
it's just the feeling of it being
yeah, I know
not yours.
I mean, there actually like last week, like you know the whole thing before where Google Drive, Google Photos, everything was free, right? Everything you upload is free. And then they had that for like a long time. And then I think a couple months ago, Google was like, oh, by the way, we're going to stop that. You can't do it for free anymore. Anything you upload past this date will be taking storage from your Google Drive limit. So like last week, like I got a notice, oh, your Google Drive is full. I was like, what?
Yeah.
What? So I've been thinking of buying a server. I've been thinking of a NAS. Having no ownership really does. It trickles down. I think especially in modern times, you definitely feel like you're running out of control, I guess.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And I think, oddly enough, I'm the type of person that likes to buy stuff up front, whether that's kind of an archaic way of doing things. But even when it comes to, I don't know, buying a mobile phone or something, I'll buy the handset, then I'll buy the SIM card and the service.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't feel nice because, I don't know, I'm not good. Admittedly, I'm very bad at money. So I feel like if there's a complicated system, I feel like it's there to screw me over somehow. So I'll just try and keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah, I guess that's this feeling of like, you feel like maybe in the future, you might not have the same income. So it's like, oh, I can't keep paying for this. And then at the end, I don't actually own the software. So where did all my money go to?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, things like that. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Particularly... Yeah, when you're getting to like Maya and Max kind of monthly spending, it feels like it's a genuine concern.
Yeah, but generally, you know, you mentioned the Redshift. I think they are developing it for not only for Cinema 4D right now. It's got a Blender plugin. They released it. So I'm thinking, how do you see that, you know, that approach? Because corporates kind of have different policies in terms of like trying to maybe build up an ecosystem for the users to just stick to their platform, but also maybe a little bit open up for the other users, like Blender users, for example, to be able to access some features. Or generally, you know, there's a high need, I guess, for the whole community of 3D artists of creating like some open standards. Like I really like what Pixar is doing, like releasing their USD as a kind of like open standard just for interchanging files between different software, because it will be inevitably a diverse world. I mean, that probably will benefit us if it's more diverse than if it's like super, you know, just focused on one or two companies that are just providing software. There's really no alternative to that. So,
yeah, it does feel like, or it can feel like that once things are subscription based, the whatever entity owns that product can kind of rest a little bit on their laurels and just watch the money come in, rather than being like, oh, look at these massive benefits to upgrade. But then it just feels like everything is ultimately subscription. It feels like that's the most stable way for developers to continue working on stuff, particularly I guess with smaller companies. If you are guaranteed a certain amount of income, then you can just sort of plan ahead, which I totally understand. I'm just wary, I suppose. Like if Redshift, there's a Blender plugin that's amazing. I'd be wary that it could go away or change or be limited to certain resolutions or something, you know. So, and I'm lazy too, you know. I'll just, like, Cycles is fine.
So the rendering engine in Blender is kind of catching up with the competition. I think quite fast. And how about the sculpting? You know, features. You know, we've had this huge boost with Pablo Dobarro introducing new stuff into Blender. but right now I think he's retired in that regard. He moved on to some other tasks. So I wanted to ask, do you think that Blender can catch up to ZBrush? Like it was like I've seen this opinion that it's impossible because ZBrush is already so far ahead of all the competition and it's still being developed. But I've seen a lot of technologies that were kind of like irreplaceable, and they proved to be not that irreplaceable in the end. Like Flash, you mentioned, right? For example, Flash. Some years ago, everyone was into Flash. Flash was like the future, and right now it's kind of super fast. It's almost gone. So, do you think it's possible for Blender to catch up with the industry leader?
For my purposes, like Blender sculpting it's just perfect. I don't really do any immensely high detailed sculpts. I don't get down to, like we said, the poor level and start doing that kind of stuff. So for me, it works great. And the only other tools that I guess ZBrush has, I feel like I can get with add-ons in Blender, things like the remeshing tools. So yeah, it's my understanding that ZBrush fundamentally works in a different way to a lot of other sculpting programs, like how it computes, like how the back end works, I guess. And so it can just handle what seems like infinite amounts of geometry. But yeah, I guess I don't know. I don't know, just purely because I don't feel like I use those advanced features enough.
Yeah. So what would you find the hardest thing to grasp for someone like starting out with sculpting, like a newbie digital sculptor? Well, and I'm asking this from my personal perspective as well, because I was trying to hone up.
Yeah, sorry. Did you have any background in like anatomy and stuff? Like, is that something you really took up? Like, I guess I'm gonna learn this, or did you grow up like, I've been doing 2D this whole time, like actually transfers to 3D? Like what was your background with this?
Yeah, I did like throughout earlier school and college and stuff like that. It was all arts based, so that covered a lot of the fundamentals. There'd be lots of life drawing and exterior perspective drawing, all of this kind of stuff, and I feel like that translated a lot more into, made picking up 3D sculpting a lot easier. But I never really got into in depth with anatomy, and I think it shows as well. Like, I think I'll put up like a sculpt of a face and it will be wrong, you know what I mean? They'll just be like, what the hell, that is not a muscle group. It's like, yeah, but it looks so cool. So I guess I'm not, my ultimate goal isn't to achieve that level of realism, so I don't feel like I should study anatomy in that kind of in depth, but perhaps I should. It does feel like it would help a lot. But yeah, I don't know. I just really disliked school as well, so perhaps it's sort of bringing back bad memories.
Why did you say that name?
Yeah, don't pick me. I don't know. I didn't study anything.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So this is like a renegade path of learning arts. I guess it's fun, fun doing it your own way, not like the way that someone invented to school you, right?
Yeah, I think it comes back to learning an instrument as well. It's akin to being given sheet music and being told what scales are and stuff. You'd just be like, I just want to press all the buttons and see what happens, and then I'll work it out later. But yeah, it's probably a slower way of going about it.
But way more fun. I guess that's the trade-off.
Yeah. I guess so.
I guess it sucks. Like, I tried learning Blender early on, and you starting out, you learn, like, I think the difference between a curriculum and learning on your own is that at least in the curriculum, you have a step-by-step as to where you're gonna get to, and then on your own, it's like, oh crap, where do I start? Do I start with characters? Oh, that's a car. Oh, there's an animation. Like, yeah, I guess that's trade-off. You know, slower but way more fun. But yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, the course I did in university, it wasn't. I mean, they gave you all the tools, but it wasn't really that technical. Like, you weren't given direction on how to use them. What you were given was things like a creative brief, just like called Wasteland. That's it. And you have to like go away and like produce an animation based on the word Wasteland. And now that I reflect on it, it feels like, yeah, that's not a lot of teaching involved, you know, and perhaps it wasn't the best course, but I kind of liked that approach. You know, it was just kind of like, oh yeah, what could we put together that could be fun?
Yeah, that's kind of reminds me of the Star Wars movie, you know, the teaching of Yoda. I think he just focus on the Force. There's no try, just do. Yeah. Use the Force.
Just come out with an insane student loan though for that. Pearls of wisdom.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people get mad about that, right? There's this whole like debate between spending money to go to art school or just learning on your own. And then there's like the two camps of like, yeah, you go there and then they don't actually teach you anything and you come up with like a huge loan, or you learn on your own, but then did you actually learn anything on your own?
Yeah, like, absolutely. I think if it was just solely focused on the knowledge I took away from university, it would absolutely not be worth the money at all. I think just the people I met who I later went on to start companies with and stuff like that, that was kind of worth the money. You know, it was the ability to have 3 years of, I mean, yeah, still doing stuff, but effectively having 3 years of free time to find what you want to do. That was kind of the value I guess I took out of it. The very, very silver lining. But yeah.
Yeah, now you have a company. I mean, it worked out, you know.
But I do see like a load of other kind of online, I guess, schools, and particularly places like, I see people graduating from places like Escape Studios. I think they're here in the UK, and they are very much prepare you for working in the industry. So if I ever see those type of places on a CV, I'm just sort of like, okay, that's pretty good. I know that they're going to be able to do this and that, and they understand the pipeline in general. So on reflection, maybe that would have been a better choice, but you know, I don't regret it.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Okay, so I guess we could. Do you have actually some more time for us, or should we wrap it up? Because I wanted to make a short break for a sip of water, and then go to the final round of questions, which will be maybe more current stuff going. We wanted to talk about COVID, the pandemic, and some new stuff happening in this year, and maybe future forecasts on the metaverse. Apocalypse coming and whatever. So,
COVID, metaverse, 5G, apocalypse. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Are we already in the Matrix or not yet? Like, you can see the green behind us. Oh, so I guess it's in the Matrix.